Hey guys, and welcome to the new episode of Full Throttle, and today we'll show you one of my favorite Mercedes models of all time. This is the very last CLS 63 AMG, and in today's episode we'll show you why it's such a special car. And if you like this car and want to see more amazing car content, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel down below, and in this way you support us to do what we do. And now let's see how this Mercedes CLS is like to drive. Now this car is rear-wheel drive only, which pretty much defines the driving experience because you have almost 600 horsepower going to the rear wheels. You have to be pretty careful. But the thing I like the most about this model is the sound it makes. Just listen to that. It's absolutely nothing like the new Mercedes models because here you can actually hear the real exhaust and it sounds amazing. And because the car has such a high capacity engine, it's actually really responsive. But you have to keep in mind that this is not a sports car. I mean, not a dedicated sports car in that sense, even though it's an AMG. This is still a very big two-tone GT luxury car, and it definitely drives like one when you are in the comfort settings. The suspension is actually pretty forgiving for such a sporty car, and the steering wheel is not too heavy. But put the car in the sportiest settings by using the AMG button right here, and it becomes a different beast. Though the steering wheel becomes much heavier and the responses from the engine become even faster. But wow! It definitely spins really quick, and I love the sound. It manages to be a very good luxury car when you want to drive slow, and it definitely transforms into a much faster and sportier car when you have an open road like this. And you have to keep in mind that buying the rear-wheel drive version, things can get pretty scary in the back, especially in the rain and definitely in the snow. So if you don't want none of that, just look for the all-wheel drive version, which is the S model, and it's in fact even sportier and faster than this one because it has 585 horsepower. Overall, one of the things I like the most about the car is the steering wheel. Just like in the video about the E-Class, I really enjoyed it. It's very direct, and unlike many of the modern cars, it actually telegraphs where the car is and what is happening with all the wheels, which means that you have a much better sense and control over the car, and you know what's happening at which moment. Still, it's a great car to drive. It's actually very good in the bends. There is minimum body roll for a car of this size, but if you put it in the comfort settings, yes, it gets a little bit worse, but still, it's a big two-tone car, so you have to expect some of that. So let's see what's under the hood of the CLS 63 AMG. The first thing you notice is how much you can open the bonnet, which gives you a lot of space if you have to work on the engine, which you actually might have. But let's see, here we have the last V8 engine you can get in a CLS. It's 5.5 liters and it has three versions: 525 horsepower, the 557 we have here, and the top version, which has 585 horsepower and is the S model, and you can only get that in all-wheel drive. Now the car does 0 to 60 in 4-point-something seconds, depending on how much traction you get. And the engine is pretty solid, but you have to keep some things in mind. And I'm saying that this is the last CLS 63 AMG not because there isn't a new model, but because on the new model you cannot get a 63 AMG version anymore. The top version is the 53 AMG, which has a 6-cylinder engine. And the reason for that is that Mercedes decided to launch the AMG GT 4-door, which pretty much acts as the new CLS 63 AMG, and they decided to discount this model altogether. So this is pretty much the last CLS you can get with the V8 petrol engine, and that's a shame. And also the looks of the new model, it just looks like a squished A-Class, and I honestly don't like it. So all the things that make the CLS great are only found in this car. So if you want a V8 CLS, that's the car you need to get. So let's go through what exactly is the Mercedes CLS as a model. Now this is the coupe version of the E-Class, but you get 4 doors and frameless windows. And this model is the car that actually started this trend, and now all the German manufacturers are making thousands of these cars. So I guess they have to be thankful for Mercedes to starting this trend. Overall, the car is based on the E-Class and it shares the same chassis, but it's longer, wider. You have this hoop line at the back, but of course you get less space at the rear seats and the trunk is smaller. But people buying this car don't really care about all that stuff, but they do care about the beautiful looks of the car, which you get because of that swooped roof line. So the design of the CLS has always been what really made this model special, and this second generation of the car truly follows this fashion. I think this is one of the best looking Mercedes cars they have made in a long time, and while you don't have the soft lines of the first generation here, you get much more angular and angry looking lines, which are pretty much what Mercedes was doing in the 2010s. The car looks very good, and even to this day, 10 years after it was first released, it still looks pretty relevant on the road. You get these extremely beautiful headlights, a big radiator grille, and this more aggressive bumper here because it's an AMG model. Overall, I still think this car looks amazing to this day, and you can definitely not go wrong by picking it. So the profile of the CLS is truly what defines this car. We can start here with these amazing AMG wheels. We have big brakes with perforated discs, and of course the V8 B-turbo badge here. It's not a V6, it's a V8, exactly the type of engine a real AMG should have. We also have carbon fiber mirror caps, but the real important thing is the roofline here. Even though this car and the E-Class share the same chassis, you can never tell by looking at the two cars. Here we have an extremely beautiful swooping roofline, we have this long door in the back, and of course a much wider stance than the regular model. This means that it's a serious car, and I think those are some of the most beautiful lines in the automotive industry in the past years. Now we get to the back of the Mercedes CLS. Now I know I've been repeating myself, but I think now that's the best angle of the car. You get some of the most beautiful tail lights in the industry as a whole. As you can see, they start all the way here and finish here, continuing the lines of the side of the car. You get a carbon fiber spoiler and a diffuser down here, and of course 4 very large and very real exhaust pipes because it's a real AMG. Overall, the back of the car is super wide, but at the same time it looks very beautiful, and it somehow manages to finish all the swooping lines we have from the coupe of the car. And now let's hear how this Mercedes CLS 63 AMG sounds. Now this is an old school AMG with a big V8, so it definitely should sound nicer than the newer models. But do you like this more than the BMW M5? Write down in the comments below. Definitely louder and much better sounding than the new AMG cars. This is a typical AMG V8 sound. So as I've already mentioned in the video about the E-Class of this generation, this interior is pretty much my least favorite Mercedes one, and the main reason for this is because you have so many buttons like an old analog phone, and there is too much plastic here in the center console. But this particular car has a very beautiful spec which manages to make up for it. We have these gorgeous leather white seats, we have carbon fiber here, a lot of leather, and of course this Alcantara steering wheel, which feels amazing. You also have metal paddles, which are very expensive to touch, and pretty much this is all you need for a drive. The materials are very good. You have leather here, the buttons are metal, okay, maybe not exactly metal, but they do feel expensive, and it's a pretty nice place to be, even if it's not the most aesthetically pleasing interior. And of course then we have the multimedia system, which is just awful, but it's a car from 10 years ago, so that's to be expected. Actually, if you get a facelift model, you get a new multimedia system and a new steering wheel, which might sound like minor changes, but they do make the car feel a lot more modern. But my main problem with the interior of this car is that there isn't too much space. My knee is bumping against this part here. The seat is actually pretty sporty and hugs your body well, but it feels a little cramped, and you don't have a lot of room for your head as well. But still, It's an AMG. You have AMG buttons here, and this is all you're going to need. It's a nice place to be, it's just not my favorite one. But if there's one thing that the new CLS does better than this one, is definitely the space in the back. As you can see here, you can obviously tell what was wrong with the first generations of these four-door coupes. You have almost no headroom at all, and my knees are literally bumping against the front seat, which is just massive. You also have this center console here that actually makes up for the most space in the back, so you cannot stretch your legs, and you have only 2 seats, so if you want to carry 3 people here, somebody has to sit over here, and it's not very comfortable. You do get this kind of plastic climate vent, so it's okay, but definitely not a big family car, and the back space here is definitely compromised compared to the regular E-Class. And you also have to keep in mind that because of the beautiful roofline and the large body kit of the car, it's pretty difficult to get out. This Mercedes CLS 63 is definitely one of the coolest cars Mercedes have built in this century. Not only it looks amazing, but it's a very good combination between a hooligan, a luxury car, and an extremely beautiful coupe with 4 doors. The new model, it's newer, but definitely doesn't have the same character. So if you're looking for a piece of AMG history and perhaps still a very good car to drive, this car just might be the one for you.